Welcome back to Down to Earth Pat's Talk. I'm Pat's Discuss, and today I have a couple quick things I want to go over. One is Stephon Gilmore. Before free agency started, it was pretty much almost a consensus that he was likely going to be traded. Well, it's been a couple weeks of free agency, and he's still on the team. We did sign a DB in Jalen Mills, and I originally thought that would be more as a backup for Stephon Gilmore being traded out here, but now we've come to figure out that that's more of a replacement for Pat Chung, because he plays more of a safety than a corner. I guess he could play either, but I'm sure he's probably going to be playing safety. So just looking at who we have at corner, we have Stephon Gilmore, we have J.C. Jackson, who's back on his tender. You got Juwan Williams, who's going into his third year, the second round pick. You got Jonathan Jones. Miles Bryant, I think, is still on the team. That's pretty much, I believe that's what we have at corner. That's worth noting anyways. I think there was a report saying that Jason McCourty and the Patriots have been in contact. Nothing imminent, but in contact. So I guess there's a chance he could be back, which I don't like because he was not that good this past year, especially. I'm all set with Jason McCourty. He's not very good. So what you're looking at, like, if Gilmore's still here, you're looking at Gilmore, J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, Juwan Williams as your main guys, which is good. But if you trade Gilmore, you're left with J.C. Jackson, Jonathan Jones, Juwan Williams. And depending on how the team may view Juwan Williams, that's not great. You may need to go grab someone else, whether that be in the draft or maybe, I don't know who's left in free agency. I think maybe AJ Boye is still available, I think. Even then, he's on the back end of his career. Is he even worth picking up? I pretty much accepted that Gilmore is probably gone. That's what I accepted like a month ago. I was more in favor of trading him at the deadline last year because I thought you could get a first round pick. Obviously, you couldn't. No teams bid on it. And I hate to break it to people, Stephon Gilmore does not have much trade value left. You're probably looking at around a third round pick, which is unfortunate. Why? Because plus side of 30, he doesn't like his contract. You would have to sign him for a brand new contract, and he's coming off an injury. That's just not very attractive to a lot of teams. If anything, J.C. Jackson has more value than Stephon Gilmore. Not because he's a better player, but it's just all those reasons I just put out there. It's all true. You might be lucky to get a second round pick. What do I think should happen? I've come around to maybe bringing him back. As far as the contract, last year he didn't want to play for his number. Last year he was set to make $7 million. I think his salary was $7 million. He missed a few days of practice. Then he got the pay bump, which moved money from 2021 to 2020. Moved it, I believe, that made it about $13 million. And then he was back at practice, no problem. Now his 2021 salary is $7 million again. The consensus was that was Gilmore's version of a holdout, that like he didn't want to play for that number. He wanted a pay raise. So that's what happened. The same thing's going to happen this season. He's not going to want to play for $7 million. This is probably his last chance of getting paid. So he's going to take full opportunity and try and get paid. So whatever team were to trade for him, they would have to give him that contract as well as if the Patriots want to keep him and not have an issue come training camp, they're going to have to pay him. And so now the question is, do you do that? Do you pay him or do you trade him? I was first on the trade side, but I've come around to maybe it's not a bad idea to bring him back. He's still a really good player. He may not be defensive player of the year good, but he's still an elite shutdown corner. But I'm also not opposed to him being a trade asset or a part of a package to maybe move up in the draft, because we'll talk about this next. I would prefer the Patriots trade up for a quarterback. Maybe you can make Stephon Gilmore part of that package. If not, I don't see the harm of doing what you did last year and giving him a pay bump, at least. So he at least plays this season, and you can get at least the most out of him, even if you don't want to pay him again long term. But I think it's very interesting that they haven't actively shopped him. I do wonder if they see him more as an asset to either a move around the draft, or that they would like to reach a agreement to keep him around for at least one more season, if not longer. So that's a situation I would keep an eye on. If he's part of an asset to get you a quarterback in the draft, I'm for that as well. So either that or give him a pay bump, keep him around. Because you keep him after these free agents we just signed, that defense is looking pretty good, and Gilmore would top it off and you would have an exceptional defense next year. Okay, so this is later in the day. This is the second time I'm recording this second part of this video or episode because we've had some news between when I last recorded it and now. So, a couple trades have been made today. First one, the Niners trade up to pick number 3 with the Dolphins. The Dolphins get 12 overall. 2022 third, 2022 first, 2023 first. Then, the Dolphins acquire pick number 6. They got number 6 and number 156 for number 12, number 123, and a 2022 first round pick. So that changes a good bit. So basically, Miami traded down, then traded back up. So that kind of screwed with what I said earlier in the recording, so that's why I'm kind of redoing this. So what I said before, and it still kind of stands, where I wanted us to trade up this year because I think it would have been a great time to trade up, just for the fact that we made big splashes in free agency. We have very little needs going into the draft besides quarterback and maybe linebacker. This year, out of all, I'm not normally one who likes trading up big like this because I think it can screw with your future more than it can help. But with the quarterback and where the team is now, this year is an outlier, and I think this year is the year to do it. And I'm looking at a mock draft from CBS. Just because all the other, because I want to look at the draft order and it's all screwy because of these trades. And from this mock draft, they have 4 quarterbacks going in a row. Lawrence to Jacksonville, Wilson to Jets, Justin Fields to San Francisco, Trey Lance to Denver. And then they have us trading up to pick 9 with the Falcons for Mac Jones, which, I don't know about that. This is a mock draft from CBS, so take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so I read this mock draft wrong. So, okay, I'm getting rid of this mock draft. They have Denver trading up with Atlanta for Trey Lance. So enough of this. Enough of that one. Let's get rid of that. I just want a draft order. That's all I want. Okay, I got the official draft order. Jacksonville, Jets, San Francisco, Atlanta, Cincy, and we're all the way down to 15. So, teams, I would like us to trade up this year. I don't have a specific player in mind. I'd be fine with either Lance or Fields or even Mac Jones. I wouldn't trade up for Mac Jones. I would prefer him at most 15, if not lower in the first, preferably based just on the player. But I do like Mac Jones. I would not be upset if he was here. But I would prefer a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance. So, how do you get them? Well, your best bet would be to trade with either Atlanta or Cincinnati. And even then, San Francisco's a pick above you, and you'd think they'd take a quarterback there. I know the reports saying that they don't want to move on from Jimmy G. I really don't believe that. And even if they don't, I can't imagine to pick anything else besides quarterback at number 3. So you might lose out on probably Fields at that point. Or at the same time, they could keep Jimmy Garoppolo and they draft Fields. They could keep Jimmy G and bring in Lance. That's an option. They gives him plenty of time to develop and get ready. So you could, a lot of options here. If you want one of these quarterbacks, and I'd like them to go after someone, your best bet is probably either Atlanta or Cincinnati, 4 and 5. That Niners trade, getting up to number 3, cost them 3 first-round picks and a third. How much is number 4 going to cost you? Around the same price. And if you get the quarterback and he can play, it makes it worth it. It's just, that's the game. You gotta hit the right guy. If you don't get the right guy, you're the Chicago Bears. So it's a big risk, but it's a risk you need to take. Unless you just want to settle with Mac Jones or Kellen Mond, whatever his name is, and then just hope they pan out. And I don't mind Mond. We can get Mond in the 3rd round. I'm fine with that. But I would prefer someone in the top of the 1st round. I would like us to trade up this year. Or Mac Jones. Again, I don't mind Mac Jones. But eventually, if you want your long-term solution, like, you got to make a move to get him. Like, he's just not going to fall in your lap. You have to make a move and get him. And that's why I'm saying trade up. Because what else are you going to do? You're going to punt on the QBs in this draft just to stick with Cam. And you'd think even with Cam, you would have a better record next year just with the state of the team is better. Then you're going to have a worse pick next year. And I don't even know the quarterbacks in next year's draft. So, like, you're going to be playing this game, like finding bridge quarterback after bridge quarterback or temporary quarterback after temporary quarterback just because you don't want to trade up and give up the assets to go get your next guy. You can't do that. And you can't win like that. It's time for us to trade up unless they want Mac Jones. That's my thing. Unless it's Mac Jones, do not trade up. If he falls 15, I guess can take him there. I don't love that. But again, if he can play, what does it matter? I won't be that upset about it. Do you want Jimmy G? That's a big question. A lot of people are split on it. I would take Jimmy G. And even if let's say Jimmy G costs us a second, I would still trade up to get someone because Jimmy G isn't a long-term answer either. He's a bridge quarterback. He's almost 30 as well, if not already 30. I don't even know. It's unfortunate for trading, but if you wanted to trade up, that San Francisco trade kind of puts a wrench in all of it because I can almost guarantee that San Francisco is probably taking a quarterback there, and that's really annoying. But it may open the door for Jimmy G. So it's like, which one do you want? If you're on the Jimmy G side, you feel better about this. If you want trade up, you don't feel better about this. If you want both, so like, I can settle with Jimmy G. I would prefer trade up. Hopefully, we can make some sort of deal. If it means giving up a few first-round picks, fine. It's a tough thing to come to grips with, losing that much draft capital for one player, but you got to do it if you want to get your guy. And I think now is the time to get that guy. No matter how good Cam plays this year, he's not a long-term answer. That's the thing. Unless Stidham becomes something which you can't bet on at this point. You can't. He hasn't given you any signs that he can be better. Like, until he does that, you gotta expect, like, you need to find your guy and you gotta go for it. So that's my second attempt at the second part of this episode. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Any questions or comments, leave them below. Any topics you want me to go over next time? You agree or disagree with anything I said? Let me know. I will be more than happy to discuss with you. So till next time, see you later. No regrets!